Okay, I'm going to be going over your new bedside monitoring device here, the 8200. So these are going to be bedside in your ICU. As you can see, we're a touchscreen monitor. We've brought brought forward 2 rows of user keys. In order to toggle between the user rows, pressing the arrow key here in the corner, you'll be able to find the user key you're looking for. I'm going to go through each user key, beginning with menu. Menu brings you to an involved menu. This is where we have selected the user keys to bring forward. So typically we'll not have to go diving into the menu key, but if you needed to find something we didn't have forward on the user key section, you could look under menu. Pressing menu again, I can make the keys go away. Under admit discharge user key group, I have 2 options. I have the ability to admit discharge or rapid discharge. Bedside, if I press admit discharge, my admission screen comes up. From here I can enter name, patient ID, birth date, all my patient information. If I press the admission group user key again, and I have admitted my patient, I'm ready to discharge. If I press rapid discharge, I'm now prompted to either decide that I would like to discharge the patient and erase the data, or if I would not like to erase the data, I can select cancel and print off my vitals prior to discharge. Once I've printed off the vitals I need, if I press admission discharge again, rapid discharge, and select OK, patient information will be deleted and I'm ready to admit my next patient. When I'm ready to go again, I can press resume, and now I'm good to go for my next patient. Under NIBP for non-invasive blood pressure, if I press that user group key, I here have the selections to select my blood pressure intervals. We'll have it default to every hour, so when your patient is admitted, put the cuff on, press start, stop, and your every hour blood pressures will begin. If I would like to change the frequency with which I take blood pressures, again, I just press NIBP Auto to bring up the wheel. I can select my new time, for instance, 15 minutes, select start, stop, and now my cycle will begin. Tabular trend is your vitals page. From the bedside monitor, you'll be able to print, and this will generate a print off on an 8.5 by 11 sheet at your laser printer. If you decide that the printing canceled key next to your tabular trend button will show how many selections you've queued to print to the laser printer. If you have too many queued up, you can simply press printing canceled and either delete all the printing jobs you've sent to the printer or leave the 1 or 2 that you need. Your alarm silence key will silence any alarm but allow any further alarms to break through, and it gives you 1 minute of alarm silence time. If the alarm persists, it will again generate after a minute. Alarm suspend locks the alarms for 2 minutes in the instance where you're getting a patient out of bed or need to silence the alarms preemptively. Home screen gets you out of any screen that you find yourself in that you would not like to investigate. For instance, if I press menu and press home, I'm able to get back out of menu. Arrow key in the bottom right corner takes me to my next set of user keys. The home key, alarm suspend key, alarm silence key, and printing canceled key are constant in both rows. Moving to the left from printing canceled, I have the night mode key. If I press night mode, my screen dims and my light bar and alarm noises will not go off in the room. I don't lose any monitoring function at the central, but in order to wake it back up, I can press anywhere along the bottom user key section.
So it will not alarm in the room?
Correct.
But it'll alarm at the central station?
Correct.
So that
Correct.
allows the patient to sleep?
Exactly, and the patient needs to sleep or a DNR scenario. Or,
That's awesome, okay.
Mode select allows you to change which parameters you're monitoring or add additional parameters. Basic mode is going to be your default mode. It's going to give you heart rate, NIBP, SpO2, and respiratory rate. Anytime you admit a new patient or once you've discharged a patient and get ready to admit your next patient, this screen will be your default. As you add end-tidal CO2 monitoring or invasive pressure lines, etc., if I go to mode select, I'm brought to 7 different modes that we've set up. We have basic, CO2, invasive blood pressure 1, enlarged, auto, 12 lead, and critical care. If I press CO2, I now will be able to, using the side port here for end-tidal CO2, I'll now be able to monitor CO2 on my patient. Again, pressing the mode select key. If I were to press IBP 1, I now have the option or the ability to monitor an invasive pressure. If I would like to zero this pressure, if I just press anywhere inside the numbers, for the blood pressure I'd like to zero, I've got my zero option, scale selection, or label if the invasive pressure I choose is a CVP and I'm not measuring invasive pressure. I can change accordingly. So again, just press in the number box you'd like to change, and that will give you your user options. Going back to the mode select key, enlarged allows you for large numbers. If for whatever reason, due to equipment or patient status, it's difficult to get into a room or get to the monitor, you can leave it in this mode to see the numbers more easily. Auto mode is what I like to call the plug-and-play mode. As you insert a monitoring device, whether it be ECG, invasive blood pressure, non-invasive blood pressure, or end-tidal CO2, whatever pieces of equipment you have attached to the monitor will display on the monitor waveforms and numbers. When you've taken it off, it will go away. So it's busy in demo mode, but this screen will fill in according to what you have attached to the monitor. 12 lead is where we will gain the access to be able to run interpretive diagnostic 12 leads. All you need to do is put it in the 12 lead mode and attach your 12 lead cable. There will be 2 in this facility. Briefly, if I press 12 lead analysis and start analyze, after a brief time, it will display my results. From this section, I can choose which view I'd like to print, as well as print to generate an 8.5 by 11 print off at your laser printer. And critical care allows me to take advantage of the Massimo Rainbow technology, as well as heart rate, blood pressure, SpO2, CO2, and respiratory rate, either through impedance or through my end-tidal CO2. Going back to basic mode, I'm going to continue going through the user keys here. The other bed function allows me to display another bed's parameters and waveforms as long as I'm in a room with a hardwired monitor bedside. From here I can silence alarms, or if there's another patient I'd like to investigate, I can select based on which number I'm looking for. The event key allows me to mark an admission strip, a discharge strip, or a number up to 6 different event strips based on patient condition. Once I've marked the strip or the waveform I'd like to review, I can go into recall. From recall, I can choose which strip I'd like to print off and print to my laser printer.